This is the second lecture for ECON10011. This lecture will go into some more detail and depth about the module itself, how it works, what the expectations for you are going to be, how your assessments will look, various relevant things like that. So let's get started. We're going to introduce you to the course, explain the structure, and explain the assessments, as I just said. So what is studying economics? It's a bit of an unusual course, and it's going to be different than other economics courses that you're going to take throughout your years at Manchester or anywhere else, really. I was asked to redesign the course about 5 years ago, and was given kind of a blank slate, sort of make this what you think a first-year course called Studying Economics should be. And I thought long and hard about it and thought that you get lots of economics per se in all your other modules, including other modules I teach. But there's a lot of things around and in economics that we don't talk about at an undergraduate or even often in postgraduate education. Issues about ethics, issues about the culture within our discipline, how to write, just the process of writing and how to think carefully about the act of writing and communicating your analysis or your ideas. There is a great course in the third year, which I keep this in mind, called Communicating Economics. I urge all of you to take it, which expands on what the little bit that we do in here about writing. What it is economists actually do, what economics actually is. None of these are really discussed at any length in any of your other modules because your lecturers will be using that time to focus on the actual economics, the meaty content of economics, as opposed to these other features of our discipline and of your study that I think are super important, but just don't get the attention in formal education that I think they deserve. So there's very little economics per se in this course. So if you're one of those people that's excited about doing the mathy bits of economics and solving models and learning about regression analysis, you're definitely going to do that during your time at Manchester as an economics student, but you're not going to be doing that in here. Now, some of this stuff you might think sounds a little hand-wavy or a little fluffy or unscientific or uneconomic-y, and that's fine. It's probably not what you would expect to see in an economics course, but I encourage you to take this course as seriously as you take your other more technical courses. These are things that will shape how you go about learning economics and how you go about practicing it. So these are actually going to be pretty important things that we'll be speaking about over the course of the term. Now, obviously, this semester is different than other semesters, both for you and I and everybody else on planet Earth. So how are we going to go about doing this? How are we going to study economics with a capital S and capital E during this pandemic? Well, we got four steps, four things, ways we're going to interact with each other. And we sort of have 4 places that we're going to do that interaction. So first, you're going to read, you're going to watch, you're going to listen, and you're going to chat or discuss. So the reading I've assigned will all be available to you free. There's no textbook you need to buy for this course. The reading for this course is comprised of some original research articles, book chapters, blog posts, op-eds, that sort of thing. As I said in the last lecture, one of the big pieces of advice I have for you is try your very best to do all of the reading. Some of the reading you will have to do because you will have part of your assessments are based on reading particular things. Other reading, you may feel like it's just too much, but I encourage you to make a real effort to read everything that I've assigned to you. I've tried to think carefully about how much reading I assign. I don't just assign 100 pages per week of reading or 200 pages per week of reading. I try to think through about, okay, on average, how long does it take to read something, a page? How many pages have I assigned? Does that fit within the constraints of how much I would expect you to study outside of the classroom or outside of the lecture time in this course? Second, you're going to watch. So this is a bit different than past years. Usually we would be in the same room together, which makes for a very different dynamic, obviously. But you are going to watch, as you're watching right now, the recorded lectures that I produce. There will probably be some other videos along the way. Some will be very short, taken from YouTube or other places, things that I found interesting over the years. There will be other lectures put on by people that are not me. So we will have some recent graduates talking to you about what their work life is like as they left university. These are people that have graduated in the past couple of years and are out in the world doing economics, working as economists. One of them is in further studies. She's doing a PhD at Manchester in economics. So they're going to talk to you a bit about their experiences. We're also going to have a couple of really brilliant people. One chap who did his PhD here at Manchester and is now at the LSE, and another woman who is a lecturer at Cambridge, talking about culture and economics. So the lectures aren't just going to be my gorgeous face. You will see other gorgeous faces over the course of the semester. There's also going to be some podcasts that I post that might be interviews with people. So I encourage you to listen to those as well. And we're going to discuss. So I really don't want this to be just a one-way delivery of information from me to you. Part of the discussion will happen in the writing that you do that I will then read ultimately. But part of that discussion is going to happen on a discussion board. Part of that discussion can happen during our live discussions. So we will actually be in the same virtual space at the same time. And part of it can happen in these open hours where you can drop by and say hi. We can chat about whatever it is that you like, whatever questions you have, or whatever thing you thought I said that was idiotic. I'm very open to hearing your thoughts and would love for you to stop by. All of these require effort from you guys. The discussions, most of all, just won't work if you're not participating. So I need you to contribute, to post questions. No questions too small, no questions too silly, no matter what you think. If you have a question about the course or about the content, I promise you're not the only person with that question. So if you post it, you're going to be helping not just yourself, because I will give you a response and we can start a conversation, but you'll be helping the other people that have the same question, but are either too shy or unable to post because of time constraints, whatever it might be. So I urge you to participate, including if you just read something or saw something and you post a link to it. Hey, I saw this. I thought this was interesting and I want to share it with the group. So these lectures, how are these lectures going to work? They will be pre-recorded, just as you're watching now. Sometimes they will look like this, like what we're looking at right now. Sometimes they will look like this. If I think there's some big piece of graph or something that I just want you to see fully. Sometimes they will look like this, which is just me talking to you. If I don't want you to look at anything and just want you to focus on the words that I'm saying. I think most of the time they're going to look something more like this, with me here in the corner and the slides that I make are up here. I will also post these slides, so you can just look at the PDFs if you want, on the Blackboard underneath the video, the recorded lectures. I'm aiming for about 30 minutes. So I'm not going to be posting, I don't think I'll be posting 1 hour lectures. So you should be able to sort of dip in, watch 30 minutes, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, and then move on. So that first lecture that we did this week was about, I think it was just over 30 minutes, 33 minutes, 35 minutes, something like that. This one will probably be about the same. As we go on and the lectures become more substantive, they will be longer. You won't ever have more than 2 hours of recorded lectures to watch per week, and I will try to keep it sort of at a 1.5 hours per week. It might go a little more, it might be a little less. I think more often it'll be a little more as we go on. You're going to need to watch these lectures before you come to the live discussions that we will have. There'll be 4 live discussions, 4, over the course of the semester. Those will focus on either the readings that I've assigned, so that you are what you read, which we'll talk about in a minute, or guest lectures that we have. And they can also include it won't be the same, but there'll be some drop-in sessions you can do with the library or with the recent graduates that come to talk about their work. So those live discussions, the live discussions with me will take place over the course of 4 Thursdays. They're in the course document. You can see them there when they're scheduled. They tend to follow the week after one of the You Are What You Reads are due. These will take place on Thursdays between 9 and 11. I'm going to break you into 2 groups because I'm expecting that there's probably about 100 to 120 of you, which I think is too many for one group. So we're going to try breaking you into 2 groups. If that really becomes unwieldy, we might break it into more. So currently, if your student number ends in an odd number, you come to the 9 to 10 a.m. one. If your student number ends in an even number, you come to the 10 to 11. This is detailed in the course document as well. So please come along to the one that you're assigned to. We're going to have breakout rooms, so you're going to be in smaller groups. There'll be some assigned discussion questions. There'll be this thing called Jam boards, so you can put together a little summary of your thoughts in the group, and then we'll come back as a larger group and discuss a bit. So those discussion questions will be posted for each week that we have the live discussion, so you can have a look at those and have a think as you're doing the reading as well, or as you're listening to the careers talks. We're going to have classes, and this really should be in inverted commas. So the lectures are with me that are sort of this format that we have. There's also going to be these classes, which will be also recorded by the Career Services team at University of Manchester and by the University of Manchester Library. So these will focus on some different things. So the library is going to teach you a bit about citation, how to cite things, when to cite things. This is going to be an important feature of your work at Manchester, is learning how to give proper attribution and substantiate your arguments. They're also going to give you some information about how to actually use the library to its full potential, how to find information, how to look for original research articles. And then Career Services is going to have a little talk about exploring future options. So I know you're in your first year and graduation seems a million miles away. It's not as far away as it probably seems. And it's good to start now, not necessarily deciding what you want to do with the rest of your life, because you might end up doing lots of different things over the course of your life, but just to start thinking about, as I said in the last lecture, what are the problems you're interested in solving? What are the changes you'd like to see in the world? And what are the things that you should learn or focus on during your time at Manchester to help you achieve those things? There will also be a live Q&A with both the library for sure, and I'm fairly certain with Career Services there's been some changes there, so that's not confirmed as of today, but with luck, they will also have a live Q&A. Otherwise, there'll be an opportunity for you to schedule an appointment and talk to Career Services. I can't recommend Career Services highly enough. They're really, really good, super helpful. You don't have to know what you want to do. You can go and talk to them and say, I have no idea what I want to do, and I have no idea how I'm going to do it. And they can help you start thinking about those things, get your CV built up, tell you how to engage in certain things at university so that your CV gets fleshed out, help you stand out when you eventually do go looking for a job. So many of you might think this sort of things, again, maybe this is a bit squishy, a bit hand wavy. Do I really need this? How is this going to help my grades? But I heard from former students of mine in this course years down the road that I saw them at graduation and they said, you know what, I didn't totally understand why I had to do that stuff in your course in year one, but it actually helped me down the road. It helped me understand the steps I needed to take down the road. And now that I'm graduating, it's been very useful. So I do encourage you to pay attention to these things as well. But the Blackboard. So the Blackboard is where everything is going to be posted. I'm sure you've already had some tutorials on Blackboard and how to use it. Our Blackboard is going to look like this. This is just a little greeting from me, and there's a welcome video here as well. Everything here on the left side is all the course content. So the discussion board is here. You're going to have to register for Piazza. We'll talk about the Piazza in a minute. Actually, let me just go back. We'll talk about Piazza in a minute. You'll find the course document on this landing page. And then on the left here, you have all of the course content. So week 1, you'll have the lectures posted here. You have all the reading underneath, the learning objectives. So these are just things that I like you to have in mind. I always think when I write lectures, I think if I can get people to leave a lecture theater or finish a recorded lecture and they remember just 3 things, what are the 3 things I really want them to remember? Because it could be an hour-long lecture. You're not going to remember everything. So what are the things I want you to kind of focus on and try to take away from what I'm telling you, the main things. The readings will all be here, and then there'll be a link to the open hour that I'll have each week on Wednesday at 10 o'clock. So you can just click on the link, and the password is econ, and will be that for the full semester. So everything is there. If there's any updates, if there's been any questions about content, about assessment, I'll be posting things on Blackboard, on the discussion board. I might be adding extra readings or fixing a link if the link for some reason is broken. So do make sure you check it pretty regularly for any updates or any new information you might need to get from me. Zoom. Whew. So Zoom has become a part of my life in a way that I never expected it to. I think a lot of people can say that. I've been to a lot of Zoom meetings. Sometimes they work really well. Sometimes they work less well. But we are going to be using Zoom for all of the live synchronous interaction that we have. So anytime you and I are in the same virtual space, we're going to be using Zoom unless it ends up being a total disaster, which I don't expect it to be. I've been practicing, and I think I've got it down. So Zoom is just, if you know Skype, it's very similar to Skype. It has some features beyond Skype that allows you to have lots and lots of people on the call, allows you to have breakout rooms. So we can start with 50 people and then everybody goes into a group of 5 or something. So if you can download Zoom onto your computer, register for it. And I don't think you have to use it, but I think it'll make everything run a bit more smoothly if you do that. So download Zoom, register. It's free. You don't have to pay for anything. And that's where we're going to be when we actually see each other in person. There's some Zoom etiquette, just like there is etiquette in the lecture theater. So the only rules that I have when I'm actually giving a lecture in person is to please don't talk when I'm talking, just because I get very distracted, and please don't come late. And if you do come late, make sure you look really sorry when you arrive. Zoom, there's different etiquette. It's a different world. It's a different platform on which we will be meeting each other. So these are the sort of etiquette that I would like you to follow. None of this is super prescriptive other than the second one there. So I have a preference for your cameras being on. That's just so I can see you, other people can see you, and you can see everybody else. So this is a soft preference. It's not something I'm going to enforce. I'm not going to command you to turn your camera on. If you're not comfortable doing that, then that's okay. But I do have a preference for you having your cameras on so we can see you. If you are going to have your camera on, do please wear clothes. I guess you don't technically have to wear trousers because we won't be able to see you, but I would encourage you just to go ahead and wear trousers during the day. Working from home has definitely led to an increase in my sweatpant wearing, which has been great for comfort, maybe less good for dignity. I don't know. Do be aware of your surroundings. So keep, what's behind you. I don't know. Just be aware of what you have behind you. And if you have bright lights behind you, that's why I have this blanket here. It's just because that's a window. So I put up like a blanket as a curtain. So just keep that in mind. Tend to mute yourself unless you're speaking. So just mute your microphone. Then if you have a dog or bells in the background or a baby crying or whatever it is, that it isn't for everybody to hear. So go ahead and just mute yourself unless you're asking questions. If you do have a question, or question as it says here, a question or a comment, please raise your hand and wait, and then I'll find you and then unmute yourself, and then we can then you can go ahead and unmute yourself and chat. We can have a conversation then. There's also a chat box, so you can just type a question, and I'll try to keep up with that best I can. So if you do have a question and you don't want to raise your hand, or you don't want to say, just speak, go ahead and type it, and I'll do what I can. Do be polite in that chat box. The chat box are recorded, even a discussion that goes on just between two people. It's all recorded, and it's not the YouTube comment section, so treat it with a modicum of professionalism, please. Piazza. Piazza is a really nice, flexible discussion board. So it is a place that you can leave comments and questions. You can do so anonymously if you wish. And I can then respond, and we can get threads going where we can have a bit of a conversation about your question or comment or idea or link or whatever it is that you found. You're going to have to sign up for Piazza. Lots of other lecturers use Piazza. There is a native Blackboard discussion board. I just find it to be less flexible. So I think you're already taking advanced mathematics. If not the first semester, you take a second semester, you will be using Piazza in there as well. So go ahead and sign up. You can just follow the link on the Blackboard page, which is just go into the Piazza discussion board there, and you'll be able to sign up via that. And we use it for everything. So any comment, question, anything you have, go ahead and post it there. I would encourage you, please, please, please read the course document, check the Blackboard. If you ask a question and it is in the answer to that question is in the course document, my response will be, it is in the course document. Please go look at the course document. So all the details about this module, everything you need to know about it, or just about, I think, is in the course document. Okay? And then you can follow some of these rules. So please use folders and labels, this kind of thing. And go ahead and answer questions. If another student asks a question and you know the answer, please feel free to jump in and answer the question. This is very much a community place. It's not just me delivering information to you guys. The assessment, everybody's favorite part. So the assessment this year is a bit different from last year or previous years where we've had group presentations, but that seemed, I just wasn't sure how to make that work given the online world that we are in. So we have 3 components this year for our assessment. One is what is called a personal development or professional development plan and a referencing quiz. One is something that I call You Are What You Read. And the last bit, which is 60% of your final mark, is an essay. So this personal development plan is comprised of 3 parts. These are due at different points throughout the semester. You will submit them via the Blackboard or the referencing quiz. You will submit just by taking the quiz. There's a link to it on the Blackboard as well. So the first part is a study schedule. This is due at the start of the semester, and it is not necessarily meant to be prescriptive. It is not, the idea is not that you are going to set a schedule and then adhere to that schedule for the duration of your time at university. I think that's pretty unrealistic, as things will change. You will join different societies. You will meet boyfriends or girlfriends and spend time with them. You will go home. Lots of things can happen. The point of this exercise is to get you to think more formally about structure, giving yourself some structure as you start at university. As I said in the last lecture, this is a big change for just about everybody, right? You're going from a pretty structured existence, meaning that you live at home and you're in high school, you're in some formal education, where there are a lot of expectations and demands on your time. And now you're at university and you are your own person. You can do whatever you want. You cannot come to classes. You cannot watch lectures. It's totally up to you how you use your time. Similarly, you have different demands on your time. I've had students in the first year come, I didn't realize how much time doing laundry was going to take, because maybe your parents did your laundry previously, or doing the washing up, dealing with the shared living politics. All of these things are going to be new to the vast majority of you. So giving yourself some structure can be really important. So this study schedule is just an opportunity for you to sit down and, okay, when do I have lectures? How am I going to, where am I going to commit time to each one of my modules? Where am I going to commit time to self-care, exercise, eating right, to socializing, to having fun, to going dancing, whatever it is? Put all that into a schedule and just see, okay, what does my week look like? And then, follow it to whatever degree you think is realistic. But I do think it's a good exercise. The next one is a CV and a LinkedIn summary. So there's going to be more details about these in the course document and on the Blackboard. The idea is to just get sort of a baseline CV. So there'll be some information I linked to from the library and from Career Services about how to make your CV. I did this when I was, I think, a freshman at university, a first year student, and it kind of made me feel bad about myself, because I was like, I'm trying to make a CV and I haven't really done much, and I don't know how impressed people are going to be that I worked in an ice cream shop last summer. But it's a start, right? It's just to give you, again, a little bit of structure, see in your CV where you need to fill things out, have a CV so you can start applying and to different things, however big or small those opportunities might be. So it's again, just to give you this structure, this foundation. And there's also going to be a LinkedIn summary. So I don't really use LinkedIn myself, but this is, if you haven't used LinkedIn, it's like professional Facebook. And I know lots of people that use it a ton. And it seems to really be sort of the modern day CV. And it's sort of, you have a CV on LinkedIn, but you have lots of information on there about yourself. The last thing is a referencing quiz. So you will have a short class from the library about how to cite, when to cite, why to cite. And this is just a short quiz. It's pretty easy. I wouldn't expect any of you to get anything but a very good mark on that part of it. The you are what you read. So as I said in the first lecture, read everything that you're assigned. If you have time and the inclination, read more. I love reader. I love reading. I'm a very slow reader, but I try to commit quite a bit of time to reading books, both about economics and about other things. I love science fiction. I love reading sort of contemporary political science. So find things that you love and just read, because the more the reading that you do really shapes how you think about the world. And it's the best way to get you to sort of change your mind about the world and to understand how arguments are presented. It also helps you become a better reader, or a better writer. Apologies. It helps you become a better writer. Reading good writing makes you a better writer. So these you are what you read, these assignments, there's 4 of these over the course of the semester. And what I'm asking you to do is to do the reading that I've assigned. I'm taking chapters out of books that I've found super interesting. None of these are technical economics, but they all relate to economics and are about economics, either about sort of ethics in economics, about some history, some sort of intellectual history in economics, like how ideas develop in economics, and sort of what economics actually is, what it means to be an economist in today's world. I'm asking you to do 4 reflections. So this isn't a book review. It isn't a book report. I'd like you to read the things that I've assigned and then just write about, like, what did you think about it? And if you thought it was utter nonsense, write about why you thought it was utter nonsense. If you thought it was great, write about why you thought it was great. You can pick a single idea from that reading and say, look, this person talked about this one idea. I really thought that was interesting. And I just want to sort of write a bit about that idea. You get marks just for submitting these. And then one of these we will select and we will mark according to some criteria that are on the Blackboard and in the course document. We're also going to be using these in the live discussion, so I will post some discussion questions, and I encourage you to come to the live discussion so we can talk about these. All of these readings relate to the essay, which is a much bigger part of your overall mark. But if you've done all of these readings and then some additional things that I assign in week 3 when you can actually see the essay assignment, there's no reason you won't write something really interesting for the essay. The essay itself, there is a 4-page limit. This is a limit, not a target. Some students see like a word limit, like a 1,500 word limit, and they feel that they will have to get as close to 1,500 words as I can, and then you end up writing sort of just a bunch of fluff and nonsense just to fill it out, and that actually makes your essay worse. So if you can communicate what you want to communicate in 2 pages, then by all means, communicate it in 2 pages. Don't feel the need to fill up the space just for the sake of filling up the space. Good writing can be very brief, and in fact, writing well briefly can be really, really hard, really challenging, but can be very effective. The topic for the essay will be released in week 3, along with tons of information about the essay, some guidance for what you might read, some examples of essays from past years that have been very, very good, so you can see what a good essay looks like. And I'm happy to discuss ideas for essays, any of the readings during the open hours or on Piazza. The course outline. The course outline is the sort of the sacred document of this course. Everything you need to know is in the course document. So please read the course document really carefully, really like print it out, sit down, read it. It will give you a good sense of the expectations of the semester. There's a lot more detail about each assessment, some structure. There's a calendar in there that outlines what we're going to be talking about each week, when you have classes, when you have live discussions, your due dates, everything is in there. There's going to be a little quiz, a very little quiz next week. So please try to read that this first week, okay? Okay, that is about everything about our module itself. Everything else, all the other details, I think, are in the course document. Here's just one quick tangent about how to email a professor. Now, some professors are very casual and very easy and very approachable. Other professors are maybe more old-fashioned and more formal. You will have lecturers and professors from all over the world, from all different types of cultures, all different ages. So I think the best bet is to err on the side of formalness initially. You're more likely to get a response from the professors who appreciate this level of formality. So this is just a little sketch of how you might go about emailing a professor. I think doing so respectfully. They have a lot of demands on their time as well. I think probably the key thing when emailing a professor, if you have a question about a particular module, make sure they're the one teaching the module first, but also make sure you've looked at the course document, you've looked at the syllabus, and the answer to your question is not in there. Often if you email them with a question about something they've already told you, you won't get a response. So make sure you look at the information they provided first, and then if there's some confusion, absolutely email them, of course. So here's an example of an email that you might send. This would be about a presentation or something. You're trying to get in touch with a professor, but you can see how detailed it is. Yeah, you can see how much you're trying to minimize the amount of effort that your recipient needs to exert in order to understand who you are, what it is you want, and what they need to do in response. So if you have questions about this module, put it on the discussion board for this module. Come to the open hour that we have. In a live discussion, if we have some spare time at the end, we can take some questions then. If you have questions about your degree more generally, there's 3 people that you should get in touch with. The first 2 are Dr. Craig Webb here on the left and Professor Klaus Schenk-Hoppe. They are your program director. So they run the BSc economics program. They are both super approachable guys, both very friendly. Craig is one of the best teachers at Manchester. I've watched him teach. His lectures are great. He's super clear. I've learned a lot from Craig about teaching over the years. Klaus is a really interesting guy and works primarily on finance. Also very approachable, and they are happy to help you. So if you have questions about your degree, do reach out to them. Another person you can reach out to is Julie Tierney, who is the program administrator. She will know. Craig and Klaus will also know, but Julie will know maybe even more granular detail how the mechanics of your degree, what you can and cannot take, what you have to take, how your marks are going to be determined given different outcomes in different modules. Julie will know just about everything. If you have questions about just economics at the undergraduate level in general, maybe you want to switch to the BA, maybe you want to switch to PPE, see if that's possible, then two people to go to are Dr. Alessia Isopi and Dr. Victoria Jotham. Again, both super friendly, very approachable. I think you're hard-pressed at Manchester to not find people that are happy and to help you and approachable. I actually really like the culture that we have in our economics department. I think it's one of cooperation and a really friendly place to work and to be a colleague. So all of these people are here to help you. Feel free to get in touch with them. But again, when you're emailing people like this, just make sure you're minimizing the amount of effort they need to exert to understand what it is that you need, who you are, what it is that you need from them so that they can help you as efficiently as possible. All right, last thing, these are just some recommended resources, things you might want to tuck into. These are not directly relevant to this module, but they're things that have helped me over the years and places you can sort of dip into to immerse yourself in economics and the world of economics. So have a look at these different blogs, Twitter feeds, podcasts, books. The last two books are nothing to do with economics, but are just books I think that are great for life in the UK. One is by Bertrand Russell, who's one of my favorite philosophers, who basically wrote a self-help book for people who don't like self-help books. But it's great in terms of finding a way to be happy in life. And the other is by an academic named Kate Fox, who is I believe she's an anthropologist, but she turned her tools of understanding cultures on English people and wrote a book about English culture. And if you are foreign, like me, there are a lot of little idiosyncrasies about living in England that she helps make clear about why English people do that and how to participate in those idiosyncrasies, which makes England such a charming place to live. All right, that's it for this week's lectures. I will see you next week.